I was first starting out. This was 2005. Lecturing, I told guys, this independent, which I don't really like the term either. I said, you got to think when you think about budgets, you got to think small. But now with this technology, you can have your characters walk to the sea, and there'll be 1,000 ships out there coming to war because the technology has come to you guys. I mean, it's amazing what you can do. I recently did a short, and we shot it in the Brooklyn Navy Yards, and then we digitally removed the high rises of New York City and put it in the hills of Sarajevo. And it's seamless, and we did this on a Mac laptop. And a couple of years ago, I said, no, we can't do that. It's just, I can't afford that. And it's amazing the technology that is coming to you guys literally every other week. Like I said earlier, I could have shot Love Ludlow for half the money today than what I did back then because we shot on film. We had to, the editing process. In fact, I couldn't afford to make a film master. I had to make a digital master. And this was back in 2005. Many of the major film festivals would not accept a digital master. It had to be film. Berlin didn't take it. A lot of film festivals they would not look at digital. And it wasn't just being snooty. A lot of them didn't have the capabilities of showing them. So, what's happened literally in the last 5 years since I started the business, it's breathtaking what is going on. The good thing is, you guys can make inexpensive movies. The bad thing is, everyone can make inexpensive movies.
Well, it's kind of like looking at a worse creative control is lost over the film. And when I'm curious to hear your stories as well, because you're working going from kind of a student production level up to something that's a lot higher budgeted. Where Tom, you're going kind of the other direction from a whole lot of money down to
started low, went high,
back down again.
back low.
Is there a
Well, I can tell you that the writer is never important, but as the budget increases, they become less and less and less important and less involved in the process. Unless
remember, David's a writer.
Unless this year I'll be directing a feature and directing, so I will be God.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, so I will be God. But the reason I'm doing that is because I actually want to be able to get on the set and stuff like that. Because I told Harold a story the other night. When I went to Sundance, we went to Wire Image. They took all our photographs. It was very, very exciting. And then they had a table of swag. And it was a digital camera, iPod, a bunch of stuff, and everyone could have one. So I went, wow, I've never had a digital camera. So as I reached for it, the girl goes, I'm sorry, who are you? And I went, I'm the writer. And she went, I'm sorry, it's for talent only.
What?
And everyone, I was with the actors and the directors, we all gasped, and I went, oh, that's a good one, I like that. And so I reached for the camera, she goes, no, seriously, I'll lose my job, it's only for talent. And so one of the actresses goes, Dave, take my digital camera. And I said, you know what, you're never going to make a dime off this movie, so you might as well have the digital camera. But that stuck in my mind, and it's really funny in the business, writers a lot of times are thanked for their contribution, but they're really not encouraged to stick around.
I have to disagree with that because for us, I was a writer on our script and then also a producer, which is a powerful combination.
I've only been a writer and producer on my projects because
right, yeah.
I didn't want to be kicked out.
Yeah. It's sort of, we started out with a budget we had like $100,000 for development, and so it was, the budget ended up being a low budget film, which means it was under $2.5 million. So we're still in the process of editing it, and we're using some of our rebate for that, so I don't have a total budget yet. But I think, back to we started out with a strong script, build good relationships, use that money to basically hire a good director who had good relations with a good casting director, and we had sort of our approach was build it and it will come. And so it was sort of and I got down to the last month where I was living off all of savings, and it was like either this movie's going to come together in this month or nothing. And we had a really good actor named Kyle Gallner who was in Jennifer's Body with Megan Fox, and the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, and he's shooting Kevin Smith's new movie. And we had basically him for the summer, and we had a month to get financing together. And it sort of came together out of getting all these pieces put together, and it was sort of out of weird luck and just faith. There's a comedy about indie music in the 80s. Bands like Black Flag, Minutemen, REM, and you have people that love the script, love that era of music, saw the commercial potential, and I think like our editor is Allison Johnson. She cuts all Mira Nair's films. She did Amelia. People that worked on like $30, $50 million films agreed to work on our picture. Linda Cohen's our music supervisor. She did No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood. I mean, these people that, you're talking about people that like love a project. I mean, I was just.
What's the budget?
It's probably going to be about $2 million. So it's like, so you just, saying please and thank you. I mean, and seeing these people that worked for us on set that never slept. Everyone got paid, and it was really a sort of a love, a project of love, and it became because people love the script and they love that era of music. So, and
Tom, did you see a change in creative control working with on IM?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm kind of the everything man on IM. I produced, I'm in the movie, I wrote the movie, etc. However, there are ways through being respectful, passionate, and committed to your idea to see your authentic version on the screen, even when working with a studio. Studios are not bad in and of themselves. There's a philosophy, I think, that undergirds studios that isn't good for filmmaking, and that is, it becomes two different gods. The god of the, quote, independent filmmaker is, I want to do the best story I can and tell this in a way that, moves and motivates and inspires, etc. The goal of the studio is, yeah, but we need to make money. So it becomes, you add another god into the equation, it becomes about money. And that can really poison the mix. However, I think the key tool that you can have as artists and human beings is to listen and to be open. And so many of us close down and say, no, my way. And that can be right, and that can be arrogant and the death of art. The reason you became an artist in the first place is you listened, you were open to experiences, you suffered, you told a joke, it wasn't funny, you told it a different way, it was, because you listened, So I try as best I can to listen to studios, even when they don't, quote, know what they're talking about. There may be something inside of the note. And you can say, when you wanted that thing in the third act, I heard you and I went back and thought about it and it gave me a really great idea. And so there you've taken what may have been one of the worst notes I ever had was I directed The Nutty Professor, and I came up with all those characters with Steve Odekirk for Eddie to play. And the studio said, yeah, we love the script, but we just don't want all those characters. We don't want Eddie to play any of those characters. And I was aghast, because that's why I wanted to do it. I thought Eddie had this genius for characterization, and if we could bring that to the screen, we would have something special. But you've got to find a way to take their note and say, I hear you, I respect you, and I'm going to go think about that and see what I can come up with. And then you can spin it in an authentic way and say, I did come up with something that I think may be the reason why you felt that lull there. And so I've got this now, and then they can feel some ownership, So there is a technique to it. Look, the truth is that you're really not in control as an artist. You think you are, but all the great authors know they sit down and then something speaks through them. And I think that I, by the way, agree with you. I respect writers completely, and sometimes you do find that people push the writer aside, and the reason for that is they're not the last writer on the film, it's the director or it's the studio. So even though we call them the writer, the last writer is the director or the studio, whoever has that final say. But look, it's about what is art and why are we doing art, and these things are at the independent level and at the studio level, you know, and
I'd like to
That's good stuff.
add to that, because I think, you're right on the money, the need and the importance of listening to others who are involved in your project. And particularly if you're doing a no-budget film, you're working with a DP, you're working with often untried talent, you're working with a production designer for whom this may be his or her first film, you're working with an editor, you're working with a composer, you're working with this whole range of talent. Now you go into this film as a director with your, the film sort of popped into your head and you think this is probably what it's about. It's never going to be about that, no matter what your budget is, because all the people you brought in are also talented artists in their own right, and you bring them to the table for that reason. Why not tap into their creative muses as well? Why not inspire your editor to take chances and cut a scene in a way that you didn't envision? Give them a little bit of rope, cut them some slack, see what they come back with. Your DP, yes, you had this wonderful crane shot that you wanted to do from year to year, and he said, I think if we just try this thing handheld, and we move in this direction, we focus on this character, let me know what you think. That's the kind of collaborative atmosphere you want to create in a low-budget film, because it inspires everyone to want to do their best to work those long hours, again, for nothing. And in the end, you'll most likely end up with a better film, which isn't to say that you sort of bend with the wind. You're still the director, which means that you have to be, as George Bush famously said, the decider. You are the decider. However, in order to decide, you need alternatives to choose from. And what you want to do is inspiring your crew to give you the best alternatives possible, including your own, as one of the alternatives for set design, take, editing, choice of music, whatever. It truly is a creative, collaborative process, although we often just give lip service to that and don't really mean it.
Four words that should never be uttered is, it's all about me. Okay? Because it's not. It's really all about us when we're making a movie. And from whenever I get on set, I get to know everyone who works on the set, and I introduce myself and thank them for being a part of it. Because if someone on the set has a problem, I have a problem, and that problem could get bigger if it's ignored.